Hello, Yoga 108 Seekers and Sages. I am here with Vince Rucci from Vertical Runner. We're in Brecksville, but I know you have a store in Hudson as well. So wherever you are, we're glad you're here with us. We're really glad you're following. And we're going to start the springtime with some ideas and some tips and maybe even a little challenge on good reasons to run, what kind of shoes you might get. I know I've been getting itchy. It's new shoe season for sure.
Yeah.
So how's it been going for you guys? How's it been going through COVID?
It's been really good. Obviously, we were closed during the time that there were those forced closures. But as soon as we reopened, there's a newfound love for running, hiking, walking in our area. And people are seeking out, they want to support small businesses and shop local, which is kind of really nice for us. So
yeah, there's a little energy behind it.
Yeah.
That a little feel-good energy behind it that got awoken.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a great change. They say out of hardship, sometimes, people find, new avenues to kind of give a release. And with this one, so many people working from home, not having the travel time to and from work, they found the ability to do these kinds of things that maybe they haven't had time to do before. So
yeah, time, and I think really a new appreciation for the value of getting outside, for the fresh air and like all of that. I had a neighbor who, when I would be leaving in the morning, he'd be walking the loop around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I stopped one day just to say hi to him. I had an extra minute. And he said, I'm walking to work.
Wow.
He said, I walk in the morning one time around the neighborhood, and then after I'm done working, I walk one more time. So I should have sent him up here for new shoes because like everyone coming in to get their new running shoes, new hiking shoes.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about like, if we walk in the door and we're looking for shoes, kind of like give us some tips on.
Well, the nice thing is when you come here, there's a wall full of shoes, and we encourage you to look at them and kind of establish some taste and preferences. But then once we get the conversation going, it's really going to be about us fitting you in the correct pair of shoes. So we're more than willing to accommodate, the cosmetics and maybe the colors, and we want people to have stuff that they're excited to wear. But more importantly is the fact that they're also understanding that we're here to provide them a service to help, prevent foot pain, knee pain, back pain, and to keep them, being able to do what they want to do, and to have a active lifestyle.
Right. And I love that that's your first message, because it's like, that would be like the crown jewel reason to get in your car and come here.
Yeah.
Rather than just to click on Zappos.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to measure you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people come in here and they are not wearing the correct shoe size.
Gotcha.
They're wondering why their feet are falling asleep. They're wondering why their toes hurt. They're wondering why their arch hurts. And a lot of our brands now offer a very fair return policy where you can wear the shoes for up to 30 days. And if they're not working out, you bring them back worn. You don't have to try to clean them up or make them presentable. And we can swap those out for a different pair.
I love that.
So,
I love that. And I'll say that when I came in shopping too, I ended up with a pair that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful I came in because they performed better for me.
Sure.
I was more comfortable and safer doing the things I wanted to do.
And that's something that I think in any, service oriented business, you want to trust that the people that you're coming in to help you are going to only do what's right for you. So, and that's really important for our staff too, to establish that trust and let people know that they're at the right place to get what they need.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about this, like get what they need thing. Like we have trails here, we have sidewalks, we have a track that is open and available to people.
So we, we'll start in with kind of our more cookie cutter questionnaire. What surfaces are you on? If you're on multiple surfaces, which one, do you find yourself more gravitating towards? Because in some situations, it does make sense to have a road shoe or, a hybrid or something, a specific trail shoe. So we want to make sure you're getting exactly what's right. So we ask those questions to kind of establish a background, and then, start talking about your foot type, looking at your arches, making sure that you're in the right kind of shoe.
walking patterns, maybe? Like, do
Yeah,
people
we'll
bring in
watch.
their old
They
shoes
can
to
bring
show
it.
you
Yeah,
the wear?
yeah. We can evaluate old shoes and look at the wear pattern and say, okay, here's why this was right for you. Here's why this was wrong for you. Um, here's why you don't want to buy these kind of shoes again.
Uh-huh.
And the other nice thing is that people can recycle their old shoes here.
Oh,
So they can bring in their old worn athletic shoes. If they're in good condition, the nonprofit we send them to will clean them up and give them to people. If they're past that point, they'll grind them up and recycle them.
well, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it came today. That's like so good. Vince has all these boxes here, and we were talking because it's box recycling day here.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the recycling, and like you want to have this faith that what you're donating or what you're recycling is actually it's happening, right?
Yeah.
So
People are getting to see our kitchenette area, which is a behind the scenes look. Like everybody gets to see where the shoes are, but
right
now they get to see where the real brainstorming action.
This is backstage.
This is backstage.
You paid a lot of money for this ticket. A lot of money. You have to know somebody to get this ticket. So I'm remembering my days of cycling and when I was running more consistently. I think tick every single one of those boxes that you were saying. Like my knees hurt. I lost my big toenail time and time. It didn't stop me. Didn't stop me from running. Didn't stop me from buying crap shoes. Like actually my knees, I really thought that was my bone structure and I shouldn't even be running.
Yeah.
So like I made all those mistakes.
Yeah.
Fashion, like I was making choices based on fashion and price. I just wanted to get whatever was cheap because running's almost free.
Yeah.
You think you could invest in good shoes, but it needed to be cheaper for me. So I'm glad to hear you make that list.
If you think about, the shoes we sell here, which range anywhere from let's say $100 to $150.
Right.
And then if you're knowing once you leave here, you're getting a shoe that's going to last you 300 to 500 miles. Mm-hmm. That's a good amount of time. And we can't predict how long they're going to last. So we tend to give more of a range.
Right.
But you're getting something that's going to last and that you're going to know every time you lace them up, you can be confident that they're going to, treat you well and give you the support and cushioning you need.
Right. So. And it's just a matter of really kind of putting your values where the value is, because, you're running in order to promote good health and well-being. Mm-hmm. And then if you run on crummy shoes or worn out shoes and you're kind of wearing and tearing into your knees and such in a way that isn't going to let you run for it's sort of like you're defeating your purpose. Yeah. So spend the money on shoes.
Spend the money on shoes and also keep track of the mileage. So, a lot of times you get people who will come in and say, oh, I know I needed new shoes because my knee hurt.
Yeah.
Well, why let pain be, your reminder for when you need new shoes? Like now you're going down a path where you're risking injury. Okay. Instead, maybe say, okay, I know my average mileage is this per week. I'm guessing at this point in time, I'll probably be needing new shoes. And then a lot of times we encourage people to work in that new pair earlier, start rotating them. This way you don't end up in a situation where you're exclusively using a shoe that might be causing you discomfort. So
that's super smart.
Yeah.
That's super smart. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Thank you.
And the other thing that I really appreciate about you and your business and your community is the community.
Yeah.
Like I've done a couple of yoga things with this community and I see the same people. So there's a dedicated group of folks that run with you guys and travel with you guys and don't just shop here, but find like support for their hobby.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And I remember even even when you're single, like you could just go to all the dating sites or you could go out and like live your hobby space.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And be out there running and doing the things you love to do, thus meeting people who love the things you love.
Sure.
Or their friends who so it's like nice these days to remember that we have like not just virtual spaces, but we still have real life spaces. And running is something you can do pretty safely outside in COVID. So tell a little bit about the community.
Yeah. During non-COVID times, we have, the ability to host group runs from here, yoga for runners. And it's been one of the hard things for us to not have that sense of community over the past year. But under normal circumstances, we do host a lot of events out of our store, both here in Brecksville and in Hudson. And it's important for people to have that social outlet.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for us to connect with people in a situation where they're not walking in here feeling like why they're coming here is for us to sell them something.
Yeah.
So, it's not a high pressure situation. We try to keep it open to all levels and abilities. And
Do you have a schedule for summer? Are you expecting to be out on the trails together?
we haven't really gone that way yet.
Okay.
I think once the nicer weather becomes more consistent, it'll be a little easier because we can gather outside and keep the distance. On these colder days, it's hard to tell everybody to stand outside, when our store is nice and warm. I could stand in here and everybody else can stand outside, but that would be nice.
Oh, there's a fitness place over here. They're always standing outside. Like, huddled up like this waiting for their workout.
So,
but yeah, good view.
So, and then the important thing is afterwards to welcome them back in. It's like hosting a party at your house. Like, you want people to feel like this is their space so they can come inside if they need to use the restroom. If they forgot something and they need, something after the run or before the run. So we want that open door mentality. And we also want people to feel safe, like
of course
in a situation where you're putting an event out to the masses without, it's not a paid event, and you just want to make sure that everybody who shows up has the same kind of like comfort level.
And I feel like for my business too, it's been a range of what people are comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so I always err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And you want to be respectful to the whole range of what people.
And we've done a really good job, and our customers have been very respectful. And we've also been part of organized events, and all the participants have been very respectful, and that's been nice to see. And I think that people appreciate that maybe we've been taking our time to get back to that point. Because people have lost their lives, people have really been struggling, and I think it's important to not just pretend like, okay, we can just rip the Band-Aid off and go back to normal. So so we will get back to that point, and we look forward to it, but it might be a couple more months still.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
And here in Brecksville, we're doing the podcast right now, and you stare out the back window, and you see the tree line for Brecksville Reservation. So we're spoiled in that a quarter mile from our store, you're on, dirt trails. And we love, because some people have never experienced that. They don't know that these parks, they're so running accessible around their neighborhood.
Right.
And they don't really know what's out there. And then we host these group events, and they come here and they're like, oh my God, I never knew that was there.
Yeah. That whole, it's endless trails.
Yeah.
Endless trails. A flat or hilly, there's a lot here. There's a lot.
Towpath, towpath surface, paved trail, paved path, and then, plenty of bridle and single track trails too. So, which is nice.
It's very nice. It's very nice. It's one of the,
and they're free. And they're free.
Right? And they're open. They're just open every day.
Yeah. So.
And then it feels good to get out there and get a little muddy and kind of be in the thick of it. You come home with that warrior spirit.
Yeah.
So I like being in the parks.
And there's so many social platforms to share your experiences now for running, hiking, and walking that it almost is like people need to make sure like they've made their journal entry.
Yes.
And they want, their audience, some larger, some smaller audiences to know that they did something that day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's cool that there's that kind of, sense of community out there too, even though people might not be getting together. They're sharing their activities
for sure
through those platforms too. So
and celebrating their passions, what makes them feel good.
Yeah.
We need it. We just really need it.
Yeah.
We need all the fresh air and the blood pumping.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me personally, about you. Why do you love running? How'd you get here?
So our Hudson store was the first location that we opened up, and that one will be 18 years old this September.
Wow.
So the name of the store, Vertical Runner, is based off of my initials. It's Rucci VR. So
Pretty good.
little tie in
Yeah.
there. And it really just started out of my love for trail running. I didn't know about all of the trails in this area, but as I kept getting more and more introduced to it, I was not a runner in high school or college. I picked it up out of school.
Interesting. Yeah.
And you know, I kind of found myself excelling at it, blindly, not not having been ever coached or really known the dynamics behind the sport of running. But I knew it made me feel good, and I knew that it gave me that sense of accomplishment. And then the trails just opened my eyes to a whole nother world. And that was really our number one focus when we opened up the store was we're going to focus, there's plenty of running stores around, but we're going to be a running store that focuses on getting people trail running.
Got
Like,
yeah.
trail running, like really? And I'm like, yes, that's what I love to do, and we're going to share that with other people. And I think a lot of times people see trail running and they're all of a sudden thinking, oh, it's got to be an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
And it's no, it wasn't. It's just to get out there and enjoy it for whether it's 10 minutes, a half hour, or if you want to do 100-mile,
Yeah.
that's fine too. But
I personally prefer the trails. I didn't know that the trails were your passion as well. Like I just, runners.
Yeah.
But I find that I personally get a lot more like prana chi juice
Sure.
when I trail run versus like on a paved surface.
Yeah.
Like when a paved surface, it's like, okay, I had a run, but I don't feel like that inner invigorated, like,
taking you back to nature. And then, the other thing is that you really avoid the potential for conflict on the trails too. Like
with cars,
motorists,
conflict.
Yeah.
I think he means like getting hit by a car.
Correct. So, that sounds like horrific. And, it really is just a way to, it's safer. You can sprain your ankle and you might fall or, get a scratch here or there, but really just to eliminate that potential risk.
And probably dogs too. Dogs when you run are a little bit.
Yeah, they can be.
This is the city, so the dogs are a little bit like there's ordinances about your dogs,
Yeah.
but I grew up in the country.
Yeah.
And so, a country dog, like, whoo.
Yeah, I've done plenty of races like down south where, you're on these long stretches on dirt road. And then next thing you know, you have a country dog coming out.
Yeah.
And that definitely ends up being your fastest mile of the whole event.
There's no electric fence. They know no borders, no boundaries.
Yeah.
They just.
And it's not their fault.
I know.
They're not expecting runners, to come by. They're used to seeing pickup trucks and and horses and that kind of stuff. So I can't fault them. But I think one thing you generally see in the parks is people are respectful of other people's spaces. So you see, people, and if they do have their dogs, they're generally more respectful and giving you your distance. So, you want to, when you're out there, you can't just be like, oh, I'm a runner, so I'm top of the food chain. This trail is mine.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be respectful and say, okay, I'm out here, and I'm going to say good morning. I'm going to say hello. This is obviously these people are out here for a reason too. And if they're loving the space like you're loving it, then it's really, we're out here for the same reason. So
etiquette the way you have anywhere else. Call or passing left before you go. Yeah, for sure.
And that can be a challenge too. Sometimes, if people have headphones in or they're kind of, caught up in conversation with a friend. But
do you wear headphones when you run?
Mm-hmm.
I don't either.
No.
Yeah.
But some people, that's a good sense of motivation for them.
Right. People like their music.
They need that music. They need that, Rocky theme song pumping them up.
I know. I've got some of that sick in me.
Yeah.
It just comes out. But I also feel like, for me personally, and not to project on anyone else, but just, I feel like I need to be really tuned in. Like, I want to hear if there's a car. I want to hear if there's a tiger.
It's smart.
I just want to hear.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm kind of tuned into the environment.
I encourage people, if they are using music a lot of times, and when I used to race a lot, I used to like racing with music. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I would encourage people to just put one earbud in.
Oh, that's smart.
This way you kind of got a sense of your surroundings going on. You're not completely like tone deaf, and you still can, be paying attention. So,
yeah. See? There we go. Safety
Yeah.
and inspiration wrapped in one package.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have this idea, this little like Jimmy Kimmel idea.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, this is head to head, yogi to runner, runner to yogi. So we're gonna have a head to head challenge
Yeah.
of 3 good reasons. So
Yeah.
Vince is gonna give one good reason that a yogi should try running, and then I'm gonna give a good reason that a runner should try yoga.
Okay.
And we're gonna see if we can get
Yeah.
head to head back and forth 3 times.
Awesome.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
Go.
I'm ready.
All right.
Yogis are flexible
Yeah, but why should they run?
because they don't have to deal with the tight hamstrings and all the other stuff that runners have to
Oh,
deal
they're
with.
gonna be better runners because they're already flexible.
Yeah, they're not going to need to be like, wow, why are my legs feeling this way today? They're going to be like ready to go.
You might win this. It's a really good one. Okay, runners should try yoga because in yoga, we do a lot of breathing and you can increase your lung capacity for better running.
Okay. I'm going to take some of my knowledge of yoga and I'm going to say, is it the baby pose or what happens?
Yes.
Yeah.
Child's
So
pose.
child's pose. If you get a good run in, then you'll be able to do child's pose as soon as you get done. You'll be exhausted.
Okay, it is my favorite pose too. So everybody's like, okay, if I run, I get a child's pose.
Yeah.
Fair, fair. It also stretches your back, which would feel really good after
Yeah,
your run
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
All right. A runner should try yoga because there's like that pinnacle of meditation. So the in the zone stuff,
Yeah.
but you don't have to run. You could just be standing there
Yeah.
and breathing and get your zone on. Is that
Good one.
convincing?
Yeah, but I think
No.
I'm going to have you beat with this last one.
Okay.
They should do yoga because they have the opportunity to have you as a teacher.
Oh, well, That's pretty good. Like I'm an Aries, so it's usually about me.
Yeah.
So I think he's got me figured
There you go.
out.
Yeah.
And there you go.
All right.
Okay, so I have to end the challenge here. Runners should try yoga because it does counter. Oh, I know which one is really good. Planes of motion. So one of the things that running gets you into the zone because it's like that consistent repetitive movement, but yoga is confusing and you move through all different planes of motion, which is really good for your neurology.
Yeah. I miss yoga
Brain
so
smarts,
much. I
do
used
you?
to really make it a focal point of my training when I was, doing a lot of races in my, early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
And I would take 1 to 2 classes a week. And I really felt like when my running was at its highest ability, yoga was a very intricate part of that. And,
Interesting. Yeah.
and for me, it helps you also running is very goal focused.
Uh-huh.
And when you went to yoga, it was a humbling experience because you found out that even though you were a really good runner, there were definitely some things that you weren't going to be able to do in yoga. So, it made you really focus on, okay, I need, obviously something I'm doing with my running is making it impossible for me to get my hamstrings opened up. So I felt it was a way to stay, to prevent injuries. And it was also a good opportunity to get some humility too. So,
Right. He beat me big time, blown out of the water.
So
That's really cool. It takes me back, like one of the things when I started yoga at that time, I was running, but running wasn't like what I loved the most. I love cycling the most. And then I would do like biathlons where you run and you ride. And I taught spinning. So we did this brick thing where we'd cycle for 10 minutes and then run for 10 minutes back and forth for like 3 hours, like that muscle confusion.
Sure.
So I was really into that. And I was really into like how many miles, what my average times were. Like and I remember like I had practiced yoga just for a couple months, laying out my mat and all of a sudden noticing there's no speedometer, there's no cadence counter, there's no like even clock to say what time, how long it took me or to divide out what my speed was, like none of it. And that was and
there's not the sense of competition either.
No.
Like that was the one thing I really learned was don't look around the room at what everybody else can do, really focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an important life lesson that yoga kind of gave you, was like focus on your own space and work on yourself.
Yeah.
And
Boy, and that's business ownership.
business owner,
too.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Um,
So I miss that. It's been hard. We have kids. We have a lot going on in our lives,
yeah.
and I'm sure they say what's important always finds a way back into your life. And the last class that you hosted at our store, like I remember after that class, I was like, wow, I miss this.
Yeah.
So it'll come back again sometime.
I'm here.
I know.
And I was excited. I initiated the invitation
Yeah.
for Vince and I to sit down, as like when my mind started shifting to move the space up to independence,
Yeah.
and to like when I get punched by life and I'm down, I'm like, let's just go bigger. So I'm really excited to be your neighbor,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
to like partner and do
Yeah.
some things together,
Yeah.
and get the yogis running and get the runners yogiing. Another thing for you yogis about the running is that it moves the chi. So that cardio pumping of the blood and moving like all of the inner energy, pranic energy through the system with that kind of vigor. Because, and this is the difference between running and cycling too, you can't coast when you're running.
No.
Like
You
you have to move your feet.
Yeah.
Like you have to just keep moving. And even it's different than being on the treadmill, because you're moving through space when you're out there running. And so the treadmill can kind of simulate it, but it can't replicate that idea that you're moving your body through space. That's a different experience.
The hills.
And the hills.
And you just want the fresh air. I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes down to it.
For sure.
I mean, there's nothing wrong. Being active is, step one, but getting outside, there's nothing. Everybody
like
needs to do that. So,
Yeah. I know.
So.
But to say this, if your meditations aren't working, if you're meditating and we're like, I don't know, I haven't like broken through in a while, get the chi moving, go for a run, get the energy moving big time, and then come sit down and start to restructure your energetic matrix and open your chakras and all that other stuff. But the running is really important. It's really important to move the chi like that.
Awesome.
So come in here and get some shoes, get some new shoes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we look
Awesome.
forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I
Thanks,
appreciate
Vince.
you taking the time.
Yeah, wasn't it fun?
It was a blast.
I know, we had fun. I hope you did too. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
following.
Yeah.
Namaste.